Hello, and welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast, a collection of inspiring conversations with the most incredible female entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm your host, Lindsay White, and together with my incredible guests, we'll explore the struggles of being a female entrepreneur, the most important lessons, and the future of women leaders in business. Speaking of struggles, one of the biggest challenges that so many of my clients are facing right now is a feeling of isolation. Let's be honest, it's lonely being an entrepreneur. And even if you have a team, you may not have a community around you that truly understands what it's like to be a business owner. That's why I've created the Inner Circle Group Program. It's a specially curated group experience that's designed specifically for female entrepreneurs as a space to create connection, build confidence, share our collective wisdom, and build our leadership. It's a safe space to talk about the hard stuff. If this sounds like the right place for you, I'd invite you to check it out at highvoltageleadership.ca. My guest this week is Kristi Mitchell. Kristi's a marketing strategist and the founder of Kristi Mitchell Marketing. Like so many female founders, Kristi spent many years in business, and when she decided she was ready for her next big move, she couldn't find exactly what she was looking for, so she created it. Now, Kristi helps entrepreneurs through her marketing success roadmap and other great programs to create a marketing strategy they really love. And Kristi's a real risk taker who's found incredible confidence in the gray areas of life and is really successful at balancing business with family. I know you're going to love our chat today. Hey, welcome, Kristi Mitchell. So nice to have you on the Female Founder Friday podcast. How the heck are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It is absolutely my pleasure. I'm really glad that you could find some time to come and tell us about you and your journey as a female founder. Because I think you've told me some of it in the past, but I would love to hear more about you and what you do and how you got to where you're at.
Sure. So I'll start at where I'm at and then go backwards forwards. How's that work?
Okay.
So I am a marketing strategist and I love working with solopreneurs to help them save time and energy by working smarter and not harder when it comes to their digital marketing. So that can include everything from social media, email marketing, blogging, websites, all that good stuff. So I help my clients achieve positive, lasting success by streamlining their efforts and really creating a strategy to give them direction and focus. And rather than doing the work for them, I act as a guide, providing them with strategic recommendations and accountability along the way. So that is me today, where I am. I've been in business for myself for almost 2.5 years, which is a little bit hard to believe. And then in some respects, it feels like even longer ago that I left corporate. Yeah. But prior to that, I spent 8 years working in higher ed. And I just got to a place where I was ready for the next thing. I really evolved my position into the marketing position that it was when I left. And I just got to a place where there wasn't really anywhere left for me to grow. And so I started looking for other opportunities, but I was being super picky because I loved the people that I worked with. And I knew that I had the best boss that I would ever have in my life. And so I wasn't willing to leave for just anything. And I didn't really find anything. So I decided to stop looking and that I would start doing freelance marketing on the side, thinking, okay, if I could do this little side hustle and build it up, then eventually I could make that transition to leave higher ed and do my business full time. So I always like to say, when you're not looking for things, sometimes they find you. So when I stopped my job search, lo and behold, I get a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter for a financial services company. And they were looking for someone with my skill set. And I ended up, interviewing, got the job, took that position. So I was working in B2B financial services and they were selling to higher ed. So that was kind of like the tie-in as to why they were interested in me.
Yeah.
So I was there and I was supporting a sales team, doing the marketing, but supporting a sales team. And it just really wasn't a good fit for a lot of reasons. I learned a lot, and I love to say that I learned from every experience that I have. There's something to be learned from everything. And I did learn a lot. It just was not a great fit for me. I really wanted to be able to make more change than I felt like I could, given the restrictions of corporate life.
Yeah.
And it was really hard being a mom to, I'm married, I have a young child, and it always felt like I was being pulled between the two, right? That,
Yeah.
it just didn't sit well with me. If I'm home, my team at work needs me, and if I'm at work, my kid, sitting home sick from preschool or whatever, and it didn't work for me. And so push came to shove, and I just went back to, what, I really want to be my own boss, and that's what I'm going to do. So I made that shift and just basically started doing whatever freelance marketing I could find. I used my network. I just started meeting with everyone I knew for coffee, lunch, whatever it was. Not a lot of Zoom because it was pre-pandemic,
Right.
funny enough, looking back on it. But yeah, I just kind of got it off the ground. I started doing whatever I could digital marketing wise, and I really was a freelancer.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started with kind of like where I am now, because that was really a journey in itself,
Yeah.
starting out as a marketing freelancer and getting to where I am now.
I love that though, Kristi, because I think for a lot of the female entrepreneurs that I work with as clients, but also the peers and colleagues that I have, and even in my own journey, it really is an evolution. It is about iterating, right? It
Yes.
is about your business, your practice, your clientele that you focus on grows as you grow and evolve. So I
Yes.
actually think that that is really key, that you don't just start out and end where you began. I don't think. I
For
think
sure.
constant evolution. So I really love that message.
Yeah. And it was interesting to me because when I first started out, I kept meeting with people who were doing something similar to what I think I wanted to do, or started their own, consultancy or whatever. I just kept meeting with people, and I kept trying to get clarity around what is it that I should offer? Who should my target market be? How do I niche down? How do I pick an industry? How do I pick a specialty? All of these things. And I remember coming to the conclusion in one of my conversations that I needed to get comfortable in the gray, is what I said to myself. I'm a very black and white person. Like, I like things to be like, okay, here's what we need to do, and these are the rules, and this is the structure, and like, let's go, let's attack it. And what I came to realize pretty early on, thankfully, thanks to the network of people that I talked to, is that that's not how it works.
No.
It has to be this constantly evolving thing. Like you said, it's not something that you're going to end where you started.
No, I have really uncovered that to be the truth. And in fact, I was just working before we started our chat with a client, and we were talking about this need to be agile, and that's not just a way to manage a project, that we need to have agility. I mean, the word last year was pivot. I mean, I think we all have had that one thrown at us enough. But it really is about being agile as a business owner. And yes, I think you make a great point. We have to be comfortable in that space of unknowing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Entrepreneurs are risk takers. And you took a big risk. Like, but you bet on yourself, Kristi. I love that. I love that.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's funny too, because I do not consider myself a risk taker, but I think that when the conditions are right and you kind of feel like you don't really have another option, people who are not risk takers can still do it, can make the leap and make it work and
So
figure it out.
we just need to back you people into a corner before.
Yes.
Okay. See, and I'm the opposite. I like to talk about that there is magic in the mess. Like, I think there is something beautiful and magical and experiential about getting into that messy middle space and just like really enjoying that sticky, messy, goopy. I'm using all sorts of really great words, but like I'm the opposite. I like, it's not that I don't see the risk, but I see that there's so much potential in that messy middle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the middle, but I've come to tolerate it.
I love it. I love it. No, that's great because not everyone is that way, and I think there's still space to be a great entrepreneur and take beautiful calculated risks. Like not everyone's Elon Musk, right? And nor do we wish to be. Bless his heart. Not I'm not like that either. But even someone who feels like the gray is not their space, risk is not their thing, can be a really effective entrepreneur. And Kristi, I really like that. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me where you maybe have made a mistake, where you have messed up in this journey already, and maybe what you've learned from that, because I think there's value there too.
Yeah, I would say my biggest mistake, not that I love that word, my biggest lesson I've learned
Love it.
is bringing on other people when you need to and finding experts and not feeling like you need to do it all yourself, which is a little ironic now that I say it out loud, because that's really what I help my clients do, is realize that I can help them
Yeah.
work more strategically. But that was a lesson I had to learn myself. And it wasn't until this year. So you said pivot was the word of the year last year, right? Like I made a big pivot in my business because I gained clarity on the types of people I really enjoy working with and the type of work I really want to be doing. And COVID, I mean, blessing in disguise, I lost most of my clients because marketing budgets are some of the first to get cut, and that it was just the reality. And so I lost a lot of my clients. It gave me the time to really take a step back and think about, where am I going? What do I want to do? So I launched a new website, brand myself as Kristi Mitchell, because before I had been doing business as phase 2 marketing.
Right.
And I was doing all of these things, but in that process, I was still like, I don't feel like I'm talking about it as clearly as I could be. And so I ended up meeting this woman. We spoke at the same virtual event and we connected afterwards, and come to find out she does branding and for small businesses and solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. And as I'm learning about what she offers, thinking like, I went into it thinking, oh, this might be someone I could refer business to. And I came out of it saying, oh my gosh, I need you for myself. Like I need what you offer. Please work with me. And it was such a valuable process to have that outsider look at me, look at my skill set, my strengths, my existing website, what differentiates me, and to get her perspective was so invaluable for me and my business.
Totally. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'll probably say it on my deathbed. You cannot read the label from the inside of the bottle. You cannot see yourself accurately as a human being, and particularly in your business. You cannot see yourself accurately from the inside out. It is not possible. You have all sorts of filters that you put in front of your own vision of who you are. And it isn't until you start to work with a great person, whether it's a coach like I am, whether it's a branding consultant, that you can really start to see who you are as you reflect in the outside world and how you show up. It is invaluable to have someone reflect that back to you. Yes.
1000%.
Love it.
For sure. So I would say that's my biggest learning, is, especially as a marketer, right? There's so many different things that fall under the marketing bucket that I just feel like, I could do that all myself. Like it's all marketing. I have experience in each of these things, but there's something about bringing someone else in and getting their perspective and getting their expertise that really just, I think, saves a lot of headache and frustration and not knowing whether you're doing something the best way you could.
Yeah, and you know, because I work in that coaching space a lot, I have the freedom to ask questions that you might be afraid to ask yourself. I have the freedom. Actually, I get paid to say things to you that nobody else will say to you. I would say that your branding consultant is the same way. I mean, you were working very on something specific, but really, I'm betting she was asking you questions that made you think about yourself and who you are differently.
For
And
sure.
it is in that ability, it is in that freedom, it's in that that actually is what you're expecting, that actually changes the way you start to look at yourself, and you start to internalize some of that. So I mean, you are absolutely speaking to the converted. I think everyone needs to have experiences like that in their life. I continue to work with a coach because I know how valuable it is, and I think even having periods of time when you work with someone who asks you bold questions, who shows you yourself as you are authentically represented in your world. I think that's valuable.
Yeah.
I love that. I also love, sort of your initial point around this lesson about, bringing people into your world at moments in time.
Hmm.
Whether that is a consultant, whether that is hiring, a contractor to work with you, because I know you work with some other experts in that way, whether you're
Yep.
ready to step in really boldly and hire that employee, that's
Hmm.
that's a big step in an entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most recently, I worked with a VA to help me get some of my back end stuff up and running. Like, okay, I need an email newsletter template. I need a downloadable offer. I need an email sequence to onboard someone, help them learn about me. And that was just so instrumental because that's something that's like been on my to-do list and just like keeps getting pushed off and off and off. And finally, I was like, no, I need to do this. I need to practice what I preach. I need to get my own stuff up and going. And it was so nice just to have a doer, and someone who, is gonna, you could bounce ideas off of. Well, I think I want to word it this way,
Yeah.
but like, what do you think?
Yeah.
So that was really, really helpful too. And really just makes me feel like, oh, I should have done this sooner. I really should have.
Yes, bringing someone else to the table again, whether it's a full-time permanent royal or it's a contractor you bring on for a space and time, adding that skill set. I mean, they bring something different, right? And I think I work with leaders, a lot that it's really about, what's your zone of genius? How do you do more of that? Because that is, first of all, that's what makes you feel fulfilled. Second of all, it's generally what makes you the money. And then
Right.
how do you delegate and outsource effectively the rest of it? And when I say effectively, I mean, because we can outsource it, but if we don't do that well, we don't get the result we're hoping for. It becomes frustrating. So I love that that's been a part of your journey already, just in the last couple years. And let's be honest, 18 months of that is been something none of us ever expected.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is you've really come out of this pandemic with incredible clarity, with
Hmm.
incredible purpose, and what sounds like really incredible momentum, Kristi.
Yes. I like to tell people last year was definitely like, okay, I just need to tread water and like keep my head above the surface. Like that was my goal, just like survival mode.
Yeah.
And then when January hit, it was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. It's a new year. I need to take this opportunity to look at it for what it is. We don't know how long any of these restrictions and things are going to last. Like, I need to just get back on it. I need to start booking those calls. I need to start networking again. I need to hire this branding person, get things going in my business. And I really do. I feel so excited for this year and what is, I can't believe already more than half over. But yes, I definitely feel the momentum.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does, how have some of these lessons you've learned informed the way you're moving forward, Kristi? What does that look like?
It looks like being more specific about the people and companies that I work with, for sure. It means being, I don't want to say picky, but just being more clear on what's a good fit and what's not. I still have some people in my network who will forward me opportunities that they hear about. Sometimes I'll get random RFP requests in my email for, these huge marketing projects that involve all sorts of like fundraising and like all these different things. I'm just like, nope, not a fit for me. I'll forward it to the person that I know who it is a fit for.
Yeah.
So it feels good. It feels, last year I came up with the word intentional for
Yeah.
like my word of the year. And I feel like I did that to a degree last year, but I'm definitely carrying that theme into this year. It's more focused, I would say.
I love that. What a great word, intentional. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. What does that mean when you say that? What does that mean to you, Kristi? Because I think that's such a cool word to explore.
It means for me, not just taking whatever comes my way,
Mm,
not just saying, yes, I'll write a proposal for that. Yes, I'd be willing to do that job. Yes, I can. It's being more strategic and thinking longer term. Sometimes sometimes you have to take work that you don't necessarily want or enjoy because it's business and you got to make money, you got to pay the bills, and
yeah,
it is what it is.
totally. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there can certainly be a level of intentionality that's like, okay, yes, I might have to take this, but it's for, this amount of time. And when
Yeah.
that's done, I'm still looking for this type of client, which is
Yeah.
my ideal client, which is where I want to go. And those are the people that are going to help move my business in the direction I want it to go
Yes.
in.
Yes, I totally get it. The intentionality lives around these are the people and that I seek to work with. This is the kind of work I seek to do with them. Yes, I have to be pragmatic. Um, we all want to get to that place where we only do that work, but that's not always possible, right?
Right.
Especially when we're new in our businesses. I totally get that. Um, but I think you're right. It's just about keeping that focus really
Mm-hmm.
on and it sounds like that was, it's a really lovely way to honor the work you did with your branding expert earlier this year is to just really keep that intentional in your head. I really like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really like that. I also really hear the purpose in your voice. Like this is purposeful and deeply meaningful work for you.
Yeah. That was the thing. Like last year, I found myself at least, well, not even last year because the pandemic really
I know, right?
dominated most of the year. But before that, it was like, I'm busy. Like I have a good number of clients, and yes, I'm always still looking, but I didn't really need to actively look because I felt like I had a pretty full plate. I had the amount of work that I wanted.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is great. I'm making, the money that I want to be making, but do I really love the work I'm doing? And the answer was no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think um, I just had a conversation about this the other day. Money is a metric, it's not a value.
Hmm.
So money is a measure that we use to show us how successful we are. But the truth is, a lot of times we put way too much emphasis on it. We say
Yeah.
success equals the money. Well, that's not actually a logical equation. There's like
Right.
a gajillion. Well, if there's 7 billion people on this planet, there's probably 5 billion ways to measure success. We all,
Yeah.
but it's when we get really caught up in that money piece. So I love that example. You were busy, you're making the money you wanted, but it wasn't as fulfilling as you had maybe hoped and planned and dreamed it might be.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I knew for sure that I loved being my own boss and running my own business.
right.
I mean, I always say never because I surprise myself, but I don't see myself ever going back to working for somebody else. I truly love running my own business, but it was like, okay, how do I evolve this? How do I get to that place where I'm like, oh my gosh, I love working with these, like I've teared up on Zoom meetings when people tell me like the impact I've had for them. I'm like, this is amazing. So how do I find more of that? Because that's fulfilling to me, and that's me helping other people, and they're getting, at the end of the day, I want to help people, especially those people who really need it. And in my eyes, it's a lot of women solopreneurs who are wanting that same dream that I have for myself. They want to run their own business. They want to be successful. And I would hate for the marketing to be the thing that's like makes them have to throw in the towel because they just can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And I really love that you were already doing the things that you were experienced and exceptionally good at. But what you've uncovered is that there is this subset, this really specific calling for you that
Yes.
really adds all the value that isn't money, if I could put it that way. We all want to make money. Please don't get me wrong. I am not, we don't do this stuff for free, right? We're experienced professionals and we deserve to be paid for the value that we bring. But there is value in those relationships that we create with the right client that actually is hard to measure, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. The other thing too that I've really realized doing my own inner work of working with a coach and identifying my strengths, and then that kind of fed into the branding exercise and all of these things that have just really had this cool snowball effect along the way. I've cut learner as one of my like top strengths. And what I have realized is that that's part of the pivot that I made in my business is I don't want to do your social media for you. I want to teach you how to do it better. And so that's been a really cool realization and kind of change in the type of work that I'm doing with my clients.
I love that. I think that is a very subtle but important shift is into that teacher, that guide space, right?
Yes.
Oh, I just love that, Kristi. What a brilliant journey you have had. I love how we've just been able to articulate sort of that growth trajectory. So one of the last questions I want to ask you is, how do you lead? Because leadership is such an important topic on the Female Founder Friday podcast. What does that look like for you?
I love that you asked this question because it just came up recently in a conversation with somebody. He's like straight out asked me, like, do you consider yourself a leader? And I was like, yes. But it took me a second because whenever I see things about leaders and leadership, I'm like, my instinct is to go to like, well, I think of like that awesome boss that I had at my previous job. Like he's a leader. Right. He has a team of people who report to him. He's leading the department. Like, and that's not the kind of leader I am, right? Because I don't have employees in my business. But I do consider myself a leader in that what we were just talking about, this type of work that I'm now doing and the type of clients I'm pursuing is I'm leading these women solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners. I'm leading them to a place that's helpful. I'm leading them down a path to show them that there's a better way than pulling your hair out and being stressed and frustrated about all these different marketing things that you're trying to keep in the air that like just you're not sure how it's actually working for your business at the end of the day. Yeah. So that's, I guess, how I see myself as a leader now in being that guide, being that teacher, helping them get to a better place.
I love that. I love that your definition of leadership, it includes that teaching, that instructing, that building in others, because that's what teachers do, right? And then the guide piece, because I think that when we approach leadership from the space of guiding, it brings in things like empowering and enabling, right? Which is really powerful in a leadership space. And it also leaves an opportunity for us as leaders that we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to
Yes.
have all the answers. And I believe in great leadership, not perfect leadership, because I don't think it's possible to be perfect. So I really love that definition that you've created for yourself of being a teacher and a guide in your leadership role. Kristi, that's just beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, I'm super glad that you were able to spend some time with me today. I think your journey, even just in the last, even since the beginning of the year, is really inspirational. And I love the way that you've used it now to really springboard yourself out of what was, I mean, that was a really tough time for all of us.
Yeah.
Like, just from a human level, not even from a business level, the last year and a half has been hell, right?
For sure.
So I really love that you've used it to just springboard yourself. And I'm so glad that we connected. I think you reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I was super flattered. We've had such a great connection. And I'm really glad to have you on the podcast today. I think you're going to inspire so many female entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. And yes, we did meet on LinkedIn, and I love LinkedIn. So
Awesome.
I know that we'll stay in touch.
Awesome. So how, Kristi, before I let you go, if someone's listening and they think, geez, I need Kristi's help, how do they get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Yes, you can look me up on LinkedIn, Kristi Mitchell. It's Kristi Mitchell. Or you can go to my website, kristimitchell.com, and there's a contact button, and you can set up a free 15-minute consultation if you'd like to do that. Just send me a note. I always love connecting with new people.
Awesome. I know you do. That's one of the things that you are absolutely amazing at. So there you have it, everyone. You can find Kristi, and she would love to chat with you about what's going on in your business and how she can teach and guide you in your social media and marketing. Well, thanks again. And you have a rest of your day. I hope that is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much. You too.
To everyone tuning in today, thank you so much for listening to the Female Founder Friday podcast. I was really inspired today by Kristi's comments about being intentional and having amazing impact. And I know she does that as she leads her business and her clients through the uncertainty that we are all facing right now. I'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode, so please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And you can reach out to Kristi at kristimitchell.com. And of course, you can find me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. The Female Founder Friday podcast has a goal to impact 1,000 listeners. And it would mean the world to me if you left this episode a 5-star review and shared it with all your friends. Let's build up to 1,000 amazing female entrepreneurs. Thank you so much again for being part of the show. And don't forget to connect with me at highvoltageleadership.ca.